Hello, everyone. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, compassionate souls, wherever you may be. Today's presentation is on body basics. It's understanding the basics of energy health. It's important for us to keep our energy and our vibrations up. And it's not something that comes naturally all the time because of all of the energy and vibrations we've been through to hold us down and hold us back. But now that the awareness is here and we know we can make these changes, it's imperative that we take responsibility for this and do this work. So this program on body basics, I want you to understand that this is an important class. Share it with anyone, share it with your kids, because we need to understand we're each magical creators and we have the ability to make these changes. So I encourage you to share anything you want. This particular taping is part of the Compassionate Listening series, which is class number 110, but it's also just a great class. And eventually I'll do it as a singular also. But in the meantime, I want to be able to get this information out as quickly as possible so we can start being more proactive and also assisting other people with this information. We really need to be part of the responsibility that we have is to get this information out for others. So body basics, and we're going to click over here. All right. So now what we're looking at, of course, these are my opinions, and it's not medical advice. That's that disclaimer stuff that we have to do. The presentation will be around 60 minutes, and that my PhD is in metaphysical counseling and sciences. Therefore, all my work is based in the language of energy, frequency, vibration, wave, particle. We talk about all of these things, and sometimes I use different words for it, but this is what we're talking about. We're talking about energy. Energy, there's no end, there's no beginning, it's never created, it can't be destroyed, but this energy can be transmuted. And that's what we want to talk about. How do we become aware of all these things going on around us, and how do we purposely create a better world, a better body, a greater connection with our spirituality and that energy that's all around us and omnipresent. So I thank you for your time and interest, and I want to get started right now. So let's be clear, we are in a spiritual war. Then we may not always see who we're in battle with, but we know it's real. We know it's very real. And we've had the pleasure of seeing part of it coming down around us recently. And so we see things coming down we didn't even know was controlling us. And there's a lot more to come. But we can sense this spiritual war. We can sense something's wrong. We can feel it in our bones. Something's just not right out there. And we have this acknowledgement, and we're beginning to awaken. The clarity of something being wrong, we feel it. It's getting stronger and stronger. And even a lot of lay people that haven't gone into this field at all are beginning to recognize it. So there is a battle, and the battle is for our souls. It is a spiritual war, and it's real. So if we're going to be spiritual warriors, what do we need to do to get ready for the battle? We know our little toolbox has to be filled with everything, right? Because even in perspective, we talk about how to be ready, but the perspective of spirituality, it's our essence. It isn't like a job that we do. It isn't our career. Our soul, our spirituality, this is our essence. This is our everything. So this is the most important battle you'll ever be in. So if it's the most important battle, we really want to be prepared with the right tools. We need the protections, the trainings, the tools, the attitudes. We've got to know what is in this box, no matter what we're going through, no matter where we're at. Where do we have this toolbox to pull these tools from? And that's the beautiful thing about tools and techniques. We play with them, we practice them. It raises our vibration. We get to know them so well, they're like a part of us. And that's what the spiritual toolbox is all about. And so when we have all these tools or using them, we know how they work, and we have confidence. We're prepared for whatever we have coming. You know, just like a good gardener, right? They've got their tools, they've got their things that they need for the garden. But think about if it's a beginning gardener, their tools may be very different than a professional gardener. If it's someone who has a little tiny garden in the backyard versus a big plot of land or a farmer, their tools will be very different. So just like you are a very distinct individual, your tools may be different. Your cravings may be different. You may be drawn to different tools more than others, and that's perfectly fine. But we want to make sure we're using the right tools, the right protections, and the right attitude. Just like if you're a mechanic, you want to have all those different tools for all those different pieces. And I know it may not feel the same, but as a spiritual warrior, we also have a huge variety of tools at our disposal. But just like a mechanic, you need to have the basics of the information on how to use the tools. What is this tool for and how to use it? So we look at all these different tools a mechanic needs. We say, oh, that makes logic because we can see it. But most of the tools that you're going to be preparing with as a spiritual warrior to do this work, you don't see most of our tools. Our tools are experiential. Our tools are energetic. They're vibratory. So yes, we prepare just like the mechanic and just like the gardener, but our tools are different. So when we're talking about the tools and being ready, the one thing we want to make sure of, and we're going to cover here in the body basics, is making sure that the vessel is ready. The vessel, our body, our human experience here, we've got this body that all this energy moves in and out of. Our soul uses as its home, as we are here on this earth doing our work. So we need to make sure that we're taking care of the vessel. How do we get ready? We're in the war. We know it's already there. We're learning our tools and techniques, but let's prepare our body and make sure it's ready. So how do we ensure it's ready for this war? And how do we know what parts are even needed for strengthening? Because we've been held back from the truth for a long time. How do we create such a pure and perfect balance that nothing will throw us off? And it's practice, but we can all do this. And if we get thrown off, how do we get back on quickly? How are we pre-planning? How are we preparing so that if we do get thrown off, we can get back on really quickly and get right back into the swing of it? So just like a mechanic and a gardener, we know that we need a little of everything, right? There's not one single tool that's going to provide all the things you need. And when we need to pick the things that resonate with us, and we know that we will use them to create the most success. So in the beginning, just like a beginning gardener, you may use just a couple little basic tools to help you build your confidence and help you build the experiential of what you're doing and saying, hey, I really like this, or this is not that great, but I know I have to do this part. So just like a gardener, we want to make sure that you have the right tools for this body. So in doing that, spirituality is a key piece of all of this, because the vibration, the energy that runs through us, the spiritual pieces of us, we're 100% holographic, all connected, all is one. So as we're taking care of one part, then it's also enhancing the other parts. So we're going to look deeply at, I feel that that's very powerfully, very strongly, these are the basics you need to have to keep this vessel running and strong. You've got to be able to understand breath, water, the nutrition, movement, the attitude, and adaptability. You've got to understand your environment, and then the rest, sleep, and energetic reset. Now, the one that's most difficult to control is the environment, but we still have to learn about it. We still have to understand it. We still got to be prepared to do the work. So we're going to go through each one of these and spend a little time with them, just so we understand these are your responsibilities to keep your vessel ready to go in this spiritual war that we're in. And when you keep your vibration and energy up, your frequency is strong, then you become a beautiful light. You become this energy that other people are attracted to, and they look at you and they say, what are you doing? How are you doing that? Why do you look calm during this chaos? Why are you in such peace? How do you look younger? How do you look like you're ready and prepared all the time? How do you keep this energy up? Other people are stressed out. Other people are having all kinds of health issues. How do you stay strong? And these are the secrets. So they're not that secret. So I'm going to share them with you. So the first one is the breath and breathing. we know that breathing is mandatory to keep the body alive. We know that research shows the average and longest times without breath before the damage begins in the body. 1 minute, the brain cells begin to die, but you can still possibly survive. And I think for most of us, a minute is still doable. 3 minutes, the brain begins to have some serious damage. And at 10 minutes, many brain cells have died, and they will not be, they'll be dying, and the patient is unlikely to recover, they say, at 10 minutes. And of course, there's exceptions to everything. There's miracles everywhere. So we don't want to put that out of the realm of possibility. If 15 minutes recovery is virtually impossible. That's what they say for breath and breathing. So let's talk about the importance of all these things. So health related breathing, it moves our body around. Our lungs are like a giant pump, and they're moving and pushing around everything. So in that deep breathing, when we're practicing the deep breathing, it's hugely important because that pump is going in and squeezing. And as it's squeezing, it's moving the organs around. I mean, yes, it's doing the oxygen and putting it, the blood receives the oxygen and it's moving around the body, but and it's also assisting in that part too, moving the blood around. But when you're breathing in deeply and you're putting that air in there, you're massaging all your internal organs that are in there also. And I don't think that people understand the power of having a massage in there. So we know in the outside, the exterior of our body, when we get a massage, you can remove the kinks and take out the pain and stretch those muscles back out, lactic acids back out, and kind of pull them out of the muscle. And then we drink water and we wash it out. But we don't look at what's going on the inside there and how it coagulates. And we need that pumping of the lungs, that pumping of the air. It's hugely important to keep everything running more smoothly inside of us. And so we use our breath for all kinds of things. So if we want to calm ourselves, if we're having anxiety or something has happened and we're feeling like, what do I do? What do we do? And I have a panic and your brain stops working. The best thing you can do is calm your breath. So that's breathing in a nice, slow, deep breath into your lungs and then releasing it. For me, I always breathe from my 8th chakra. I breathe in the white light and I pull it into my body. I pull it into my lungs, and then I release it. And when I release it, I release anything that no longer serves me. So I breathe in and I release anything that no longer serves me. And in that, just a few of these will calm the body. Within 3, your body starts calming. So when we slow the breath, we calm the body. And when we breathe fast, we activate the body. So thinking about if you're moving around the house, doing some cleaning, or if you're outside mowing the lawn or you're doing some exercise, you're breathing faster and there's more activity in the body. So when you have more activity in the body, you've got more air pumping through the lungs, not necessarily deeply, which we do need to clean the stagnant air out, but we do have the energy pumping through there. Breath is moving energy through us. It's pulling this beautiful energy in and moving it through us. So when we have difficulty breathing, we have breathing issues, we really need to make sure we're having assistance with that. And by that, I mean is we need to do purposeful, deep breath. And then needing assistance, there are things to help us with assistance, and eucalyptus and other essential oils will like open up our lungs and assist us in that breathing. Also, visualization is a perfect way to assist us in breathing, because even if we're feeling a little stuck in the lungs and it doesn't feel like it wants to move around, if we tell our mind, I'm breathing into my lungs now, my lungs are expanding, my lungs are contracting, they're expanding, they're contracting, all this air is moving through my body and helping me clean and pump all my organs. When we're visualizing and we're talking to our mind goes, okay, because we are creative beings and what we're creating right here. So if we're breathing in and saying, okay, my lungs are big and they're wonderful and they're pushing all of my organs around, we're pumping and massaging the inside of the body right now. If you can keep that going for 30 seconds, you're doing amazing stuff to your body. It's really important to understand the visualization, because we create that perfection in our body. And the saying of what we think about, we bring about, it really does make a huge difference with our human body, because we're living in this vessel. So the lungs are a pump. Okay. They're, in with the good air and out with the bad, or it's never bad air, it's used, but in with the good and out with the bad, and being able to understand the oxygen in, because it actually needs to go to get into blood vessels and then move around the body, and then carbon dioxide out. And we're actually doing a dance with the plants and the trees and nature as we're doing this in and out. They're doing the in and out, and we're actually feeding each other. So it's this great relationship we have. The lungs feed the heart fresh air to pump through the body. It's one of its major jobs. So you see this beautiful picture, and that's what I think of when I'm thinking of that body moving around. I'm like, in and out, and it's pumping everything. And sometimes I'll even sit with my breathing and move my shoulder blades around, because I know I'm assisting in moving air into those areas. So there's a direct correlation with health of your body related to the amount of quality air you intake throughout your day. I know for a fact, if you don't move that air in and out of your body, it can affect a lot of organs. I've had experiences in the past where I wound up going to the hospital because I was having tingling in my head. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. I spoke to a medical intuitive, and we went through some questioning. She said, okay, what's happening when it's happening? And we went through this whole process, and I was not breathing. I literally it was when I believed in the financial devastation and how my brain would be able to control it way back when. But I sat there trying to figure out a financial issue with my brain, and I wasn't breathing during this process, and it started causing tingling in the side of my face. So this medical intuitive said, all you need to do is breathe. And that's what I changed, and it became amazing. So I use that little tool all the time now. So lungs, breathing, number one, most important. Got to do it all day long. It keeps so many things working, but we're going to move on to hydration now. Water, hydration. So to quote Barbara O'Neill, Dr. Barbara O'Neill, who I think is a genius, it's really important we understand our body is 90% water. Okay, let's say 90% water. And in that water, we need to make sure we're hydrating ourselves, because if we're water, we need to bring in more fresh water and get rid of the stale water, bring in water that's clean and pure, and release the impurities of the water out. So there was a lot of work done by Dr. Emoto on how the molecular structure of water can change purely by the thoughts put into it. And I ask you to go research Dr. Emoto. He's amazing. You're going to learn a lot about water, and how just putting your hands on your water before you drink it, on your cup before you drink it, and putting love and health and relaxation and beauty into that water, feeling the vibration and putting it in. Then when it changes the structure and then we drink it, we're putting all that into our body. Now, I know for beginners, it's kind of like, okay, whatever. But once you get into the deep, even the sciences of this, how this works, you're going to realize, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, you are, not just me, you are a magical creator. And we have been kept in the dark about this. The secret has been held for a long time, but now we're beginning to see. Dr. Emoto knew that we were creators. He knew if we put energy into the water, we could change the molecular structure. Then we drink the water, and it's healthier for us. We can energize our water in all different ways. So it's important to be really clear. What you drink it out of is important. We don't want to be drinking it out of these plastic bottles because they carry toxins with them. But we want to drink high quality water, which is a whole nother issue that we'll be looking at in the near future. But this water is cleansing the body, is detoxifying the inside of it. It's washing out the debris. So you take a shower every day and you wash your body off on the outside. We also need to be all day long washing the inside of our body and assisting all these beautiful organs and removing the debris from the body. And when we're drinking the great water, it's sending messages through our body throughout the day and then removing the debris. We are a key part. Water is a key part of keeping your body strong and healthy. These strong and healthy messages coming through your body. So dehydration. So what suffers first with dehydration? The brain. It's a brain. But one of the things that the brain does, if you're not drinking enough water and you're not drinking the liquid to keep it in a good place, your body will make you crave food. Funny, huh? Because if you're not drinking water because you're thirsty, your body says, no, they may not drink the water because of thirst, but if I make them hungry, maybe I'll get some water in that way. So the brain will then make you think you're hungry if you don't drink enough water to get you in there and drinking. Because most of us can ignore thirst, but we can't ignore the hunger. So when we're drinking this water, we're going in with the kidneys and urinary tract. We need to go into those places that are filtering our body, and we need to keep pouring water in there to cleanse it out. It's like a sink, which is full with coffee grounds and leftover foods. We need to go in and we need to keep cleaning that sink out and flushing it, so that the debris in there doesn't get nasty stuff flying around, right? And we want to make sure we're cleaning it and assisting it. But when those drains get clogged, it's a lot harder for our sink to be clean and clear, right? But it's like that for our body too. So we need that water coming in. And when we're dehydrated, we have less urination, less sweat, and we have more dry mouth. When the brain starts thinking slowly, which it does if we're not having enough liquid, the brain will start thinking slowly, and it causes lightheadedness. I think there's so many people that end up going to a white coat to get support on, oh, why do I feel lightheaded? And when sometimes all we need to do is make sure we're doing our breathing and our drinking of our water, that alone can remove a lot of medical issues. So a lightheadedness comes from not drinking water also. So the skin, if you want to stay young and have your supple skin, drink lots of water. And there's a disclaimer with, the water, but let's talk about that. If your skin is your biggest organ and it's pumping all day long for you, you want to make sure you're drinking enough water so that skin can be supple. Because if not, it begins to dry out. Just like the lungs, the lactic acids will build up. There's a higher chance of, infections or microbial issues in their pleurisy. There's things happen if we don't keep everything moving smoothly, right? Just like at your house, if you live on the ocean, you have doors that are made of metal, and you don't check those doors and oil those doors and take care of them and make sure they're in good shape. One day you're going to turn, like magically, oh, I haven't checked this door in 6 months, and you can't close it anymore, because all the rust and all the debris in there, it's not viable. So we need to make sure we're using it and keeping it clean. And when we are not taking care of our lungs and not keeping that water going through our system, a lot of times we have shortness of breath, because it's kind of like that saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. So we need those lungs moving in and out. And even if you do start to have shortness of breath, there are many, many ways to turn that around. Practicing your breathing, using essential oils. There's all kinds of visualizations. We can heal ourselves. I'm going to say it to the point where people are like, yes, I know, Barb. We are magical creators, and we get to go and we get to choose what's going to happen and what's going to work in this body. So we're responsible for this. So the shortness of breath can be reduced also through the breathing practices and drinking water. And when you're drinking plenty of water, you're hydrating your whole system, which means the joints in your body, all those little joints that we have, they need lubrication. They need liquid to keep them moving fluidly. So when we drink lots of water, it helps with the fluidity of our joints, and it also reduces inflammation. So that inflammation, that water that comes through inflammation, needs to be washed from the body. One of the things that Barbara O'Neill talks about too is, so we're 90% water, and she said, just like the earth, we're seawater. If you think about it, when we cry tears, they're salt water. When we sweat, it's salt water. When we urinate, it's salt water. So if we're looking at our body as water, not only water, but salt water, then what do we need to make sure we're putting in with our water when we're going through this process? Again, the medical community, the white coats, have given us a lot of false information through the years. I agree that iodized salt and white bleach salts and stuff like that are not good for the human body. But if you go back to where salt, we have salt water in us. And like Barbara O'Neill says, we are made of the same water that makes up the sea. And so when you go into the sea and you taste that salty water, there's minerals in it. There's specific minerals, vitamins. So what I do, and a lot of people around me do, and we use either Celtic salt or we use Himalayan sea salt, and we make sure we take a pinch of that throughout the day as we're drinking water, because salt water is coming out. So that same context of salt water should be going in with common sense. And so not salt iodized table salt, not that, but those salts that are healthier, like the Celtic salt and the Himalayan sea salt. And I have a little container when I go to get my water. Every time I go to get my water, I take a pinch of Himalayan sea salt, I put it on my tongue, and I drink my water. So it's going in with my water. So that's just a hint, that's one of the tools and techniques, little hints that we throw out there. But when we're putting this water in and it's coming out, and we've got this beautiful movement, as we excrete this water, we're also getting rid of debris. So you can't get rid of the debris if you don't have the movement. So the question of how much water, there's a lot of discussion. Again, there's going to be a whole class on just the water in the near future. But for right now, different professionals say different things. So I'm not going to judge anybody else's work, but drinking half your body weight in ounces, 8 cups, 8 times, 8 cups throughout the day of 8-ounce water, 4 to 8 ounces an hour. But my thing is, like, always go back to kinesiology testing. You can go to YouTube and look at kinesiology testing, muscle testing, and learn exactly what the amount of water is you need. But knowing on the days it's hotter or you're active, you're going to need more water. Also knowing the quality of your water is huge. If you're drinking water out of the tap, which I don't know how many people are still doing that anymore, unless they have a special filtration system on their water, but the chemicals that are coming through that water, that's not quality water. So I would ask you to do some muscle testing and learn, and then also learn more about the quality water. But people that are exercising or pregnant women usually need more water. And water is this, I think this is funny. It's not a Coca-Cola, okay? Clear, non-sugar, non-caffeinated, non-chemical, pure water. So you may go buy some pretty little bottles of water, and they might have stuff in them. So how do you know it's quality water and not? Again, we'll talk about that in the future, but if you're at least attempting to use some kind of filtration system to keep it pure water, then you're at least ahead of the game, right? So if you're thirsty, you've already begun to dehydrate. Make sure you're drinking water. Nutrition. Nutrition's a hard one because we've been told so many different things. So depending on what you want, you can get something to support it. I think it's kind of funny. If you're a vegetarian, you can get something that says, okay, vegetarian is the best thing. So there's just so many different attitudes about food. I would say, like, I don't know your body, you know your body. Food testing, kinesiology testing, I think is really important. But are you drawn to vegetarian? Do you feel like vegan, fruitarian, carnivore? But when you're making these decisions, the one thing I would say is, are you being influenced because of what all these people are saying in the media? Are you being influenced by the exercise gurus? Who are you listening to get that? And if your attitude about your food is because of what another human being said or an organization said, I would challenge you to kind of step back and say, but how do I feel inside my belly? How does my intuition, what is my intuition telling me? Because you can get anything to support you. If you say, oh, I want to be a carnivore, then you're going to find the food pyramid to support that. You're going to find the information to support that. So are you feeling it? Is it a craving, or is it because mentally you saw a gross commercial about how they process animals and now you can never eat meat again? Like, you really have to step back and say, what is the information that went in that might have inhibited me from wanting to continue to do this anymore, or made me excited about doing it? In general, I believe the colors of the rainbow are going to be healthy because it matches the chakras. You still have to say, what's your intuition feel like? Also, knowing that food sensitivities and allergies that are out there, a lot of it's because of the chemicals placed on the food, the way the foods are processed. But in general, the way it used to be a long time ago, the fruits and vegetables that are raised in your area, let's say you grew up in the Midwest, the fruits and vegetables raised in that area are usually a natural balance of health for you. Everything, like in an area illness, anything that's created an illness within a certain diameter around you, the answer is somewhere in the ground or in the earth, because the herbs and everything like that, the leaves off different plants are the answer to a lot of our medical issues. So we have so much natural stuff around us. It's amazing, but we don't know it yet. We are going to know it. We are knowing it now. But we're learning it. So food allergies and sensitivities and how they began. It's like the whole, what chemical is on my food this week. So we need to think about cleaning it out through our body with visualization, and not letting it control us anymore. So that includes, are you eating a specific diet because something or somebody in a white coat told you to do it because they believe it, the flavor of the day for them is, oh, now we're going to be vegetarian. So think about it, how you feel about it. What's your stomach telling you? When you do your muscle testing, how are you feeling? When you're eating the food, how are you feeling? Because we need to get back into, each one of us are this dynamic creation and this energy that flows through us. So we want to start respecting all those energies and not listening to outside sources. This is an inside job. Inside, what are we resonating with? So we also want to remember, every time we're eating our food, I'll go further back. Every time we're buying our food, if you have a feel for, yeah, that feels good, that doesn't feel good, we do have that vibrational information coming in because our aura is reading. And then when it comes time to cook, if you don't feel good, if you're angry, that's not a time to cook. You need to either reset your vibration, get happy, and remember that you're serving others, or that is for the strength of your own body and your own health. Like, you have to either raise your vibration back up, or you need to, eat out that night or eat leftovers. Because if you're preparing food and you're in a bad mood, you're putting that energy into your food. And when you're putting negative energy into your food and then you're eating it, it's not good for you. You've got to be able to enjoy the vibration of the food also. So when you're preparing and when you're cooking, when you're in there cutting the vegetables, if you're angry and you're chopping those vegetables and you've got negative vibration going in it, you're not serving your family in a healthy way by eating food that's got anger in it. And I know that's far-fetched for some people, but we're just putting it out there as it is now, okay? We're not beating around the bush. You put the energy into it, then therefore your family will be eating that energy. So if you're not in a good place, it's probably not a good time to be chopping vegetables and cooking dinner for your family. So kind of make it a fun thing. And then when we are getting ready to eat, we want to again take that energy and we want to put that energy. Because remember, you have this beautiful energy coming out of your hands. You want to put your hands over the food, or you want to hold hands with your loved ones. You want to say a praise of the food coming into you to nourish and strengthen your body and raise your vibration. Nutrition includes not just what you see, but all the vibrations around it. And I hope that we all can begin to understand, as spiritual beings, which we are, we're preparing our spiritual war. We're preparing this vessel to be able to withstand the things happening or coming. One of those is understanding the power of the nutrition in the food, that we have the power to put nutrition in the food. So even if your food's been depleted or it has stuff in it, I'm not saying that you can remove all the chemical processing that's went into it, because we need to be very aware of that. But what I am saying is you can clean and clear the vibration a lot higher as you're ingesting that food. We are magical creators. So that's enough about that. So choose your foods wisely. My little, come here. So choose your foods wisely, because your life depends on it. I agree with that statement, but I agree, prepare your foods wisely and your life depends on it. So when we're looking at clean foods, which I thought was interesting, I didn't know we had little barcodes for all of our fruit and vegetables, but a barcode, there is one for organic food, believe it or not. And that number is a 9 prefix added to there's a little code that signifies what the item is. So if it's conventional, which has its own level of chemicals and pesticides and all that on it, right? It's 4 numbers and it starts with a 4. So the little tag will start with a 4. If it's organic, it's 5 digits and it will start with a 9. So organic starts with a 9. And then if it's GMO processed, then it's going to start with an 8. So basically, I don't pick your poison is probably not the best term, but to me, if it has an 8 in front of it, then you really don't be eating it because it's modified. And the 4 even leaves you to say, well, okay, it still has chemicals on it, so we need to clean it off with vinegar or whatever process we use to clean off the outside of it. And it's probably penetrated to the inside, but those are decisions we have to make. And there's a picture here with an apple that was raised on just a regular tree, and then a GMO apple next to it. The GMO apple is beautiful. It's pretty. It's got the colors and the streaks, and it's just beautiful. The other apple that was raised organically, it's not as pretty. So if you're only stimulated by the human eye, then you're probably going to think that, oh, this is naturally, better because it's pretty. It looks healthy. And that's not necessarily the truth. So we got to be able to vibrate vibrationally, frequency wise. We got to be able to feel like what's going on here and being more in tune. But in the meantime, if not, then looking at the vegetables and fruits that start with a 9, and I somehow suspect they're a lot more expensive. So that's an important part of it. So now we're going to move on to the movement and physical stimulation. Now we already know that the water's washing through, the air is pumping us. We're putting the nutritions in with the fruits and vegetables, but the movement is a part of the pumping system. The pumping system making sure that all the organs are staying strong and healthy. So in those organs, they're cleaning your body in different ways that each have their own job. And they're pumping it out to be flushed from the system. So the circulatory system, of course, is the blood, and it pumps to and from the heart. And then the endocrine system is for your growth and your hormones. The reproductive, baby making, and respiratory are the lungs, oxygen in, the carbon dioxide out. So again, each one of these has their own job and their own movements and their own pumps, their own things going on. The muscular system, which is really, something I think a lot of us need to work with. It keeps you moving and it protects your bones. So your muscular protects everything here. Then we have the nervous system, which controls the voluntary actions and reflexes of the body. We have the digestive system, which breaks down and absorbs the food. This is one where most people are having trouble with in the digestive, not only because the fruits and vegetables of what we're eating have chemicals and things like that on it, but also we're having trouble digesting what's going on in the world. We're having trouble digesting as we're waking up and saying, we've been going through what? Slavery, what? So we're having trouble digesting not only our food in the physical, but in the metaphysical, in the vibratory world, we're also having trouble digesting what's going on. So our digestive systems probably need some extra attention right now. We also have our system that is our organs. Our skin, and our skin protects our organs, and it regulates the temperature of what's going on in the body. So I was amazed when I found out the skin was an organ, and it's the biggest organ of our body, which I thought was pretty cool because it's what holds all this stuff in here and holds it together. Then we have lymphatic system, which is the immune, the illness protection. I am a really high supporter of hydroxychloroquine, and I make that and I give it out to clients. And I think everybody, even at the littlest sniffle or anything, like I'm making sure that we're building that immune system up. And it doesn't take much. It's just this simple little organic thing. So then we have the skeletal system, which is the bones, and it produces the bone marrow. This skeletal system is really working when you're sleeping, not just at rest, but when you're sleeping, the skeletal system is in there repairing. So that when you're but you have to be at a state of sleep, like in a full rest position for this system get in there and kick in there and get some work done for you. And then excretory system, of course, so this is where we remove the waste from the blood through the kidneys, through the sweat. This is how we get rid of all of those toxic buildups that we're trying to wash out of our system. So how do we do the movement, the physical movement? There's so many different ways, the muscle conditioning, the weightlifting, the body stuff, the breathing techniques. The breathing techniques are part of movement. So if you're using your purposeful breathing techniques, this is one of the tools to do this. So stretching, moving around, stretching. You want those lactic acids moving around while you're drinking plenty of water, and you want to be stretching everything. Dancing, which is my favorite. I love just to be wiggling around and dancing, because to me, all those movements are actually healthy. So jogging, running, hiking, and walking are cool because those are also usually in nature. So that adds another piece to it when you're out in nature and you're receiving that vibration, that energy from the trees and everything around you or the grass. There's another piece to that movement that's beneficial and high in the frequency of the vibration. And of course, yoga, doing the stretching on the mats and letting your body know you love it, relaxing into those stretches. So some of my favorites over the years have been the Tibetan 5 Rites, which you can see that on YouTube. I love Chi Gung, that fluid movement of moving through everything. I mean, I've gone through times where I have the treadmill and I do the muscle conditioning with the weights. I go through stages of what feels right at the time. The important thing is move something, move it frequently, and try to get that energy moving through your body. So there's all these different ways to do that. And even if you're pregnant, if you have health issues, there are ways to get support. Like even if it's simple, like the stretching and the breath, that counts. So now we're going to go on to attitude and meditation. Your attitude is hugely important because if you're egoic or you think you know everything, you're not going to move along very quickly. It's really true. And I began practicing a lot of this with Joe Dispenza and Ester Hicks. You are what you think you are. So we create our reality, we think about it, and then we become it. So when I decided that I wanted to get more into my field and get my doctorate in metaphysical sciences, I didn't just think about it and let the thought go. I thought about it, I created a plan, and I followed through with it. I let it become, that's probably the right words for it, in my reality. I created my reality before I walked into it, stepped into it, and became it. So if there's something that you like or something you want in your life and you don't have it, let's say you really want to, live in a special place and have maybe go to these parties and do this. If you really want it, what's keeping you from getting there? If this is what you're in reality and this is your reality, what is that? So you want to kind of look at, okay, what's my general temperament, my habits, my character, my disposition, my essence toward life? Am I believing I want this, but I can't have it for some reason? Only the rich people have that, or only the people who, are in that country have that. So we need to look at what's your general temperament through, thinking about what you want in life. And you get to choose your reality, and your choices make up your reality. So how's that going? What do you focus on, and on what energy you put in there? Because this is important. If you say, oh, it's not going that well, it's not going that well, every time you speak out your mouth, you hear it in your own ears, and you hear it in your own ears, and you hear it in your own ears. You create your reality by thinking it and saying it, right? And then listening to it, thinking it, saying it, and listening to it. So we create our own reality in our belief systems and our letting that vibration take us over. That's how we create this. So your body listens to what you tell it, and it responds like a small child's, taking simple instructions and doing what it's told. So I'm a metaphysical doctor, and I have a huge practice, and I help people all over the world. And it comes in here, right? I'm saying it, it's coming in here. So then my body says, okay, just like a small child when they're told, well, after they've been told what to do a few times, and like, okay, I'm gonna do this. That's how we do it, by repeating it over and over again until it becomes the reality. Not just repeating it, but feeling the truth of it and repeating it, feeling it, and getting the vibration up there. So what frequency are you repeating all day long? You know whether you're I wouldn't say you know whether you're positive or negative, but I do believe there are a lot of people speaking negative all day long that don't realize they are speaking negative all day long. That includes the spiritual organization I'm a part of. And there are some people that they speak these negatives, and you try to help them change the influence of their words so that will change their reality. And they'll tell you, well, that's not really the truth. Or they'll give you another negative story to support the negative story they just told you. So if you're repeating the negative stories, you're in a low vibration, you're in a low frequency. I can't help you with that. I mean, that's an inside job. So what frequency are you repeating all day long? That's important. And be open without judgment to others. Not always easy, but necessary. Be open without judgment to others, accepting their differences, giving forgiveness, making forgiveness out there, and accepting that we are all different and it's okay. And if they're not your cup of tea, that's fine. We remove ourselves from that vibration. There was someone I had a lot of respect for, and a teacher that felt very strong. You've got to meet this person. You've got to meet this person. And I said, oh, sure, because I was excited in his energy. But when I walked into the room to meet this person, I was so repelled by his energy before I even got to him that I felt my whole body started shutting down. It was like this is in my vibration was screaming, no, no, like don't go near this person. So my teacher went over to introduce me. And at the last second, I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I want to meet you. We'll chat with you later, but I've got to go do this thing because my vibration repelled him so quickly. As much as I admired my teacher, I couldn't accept that. And later on, I found out there was a really good reason for that, but I didn't know at that moment. So we've got to respect our body when it's telling us something. And we got to remember, we're not the same. We have to forgive people. Like, it's weird to say forgive people because it makes us feel like we're a judge and jury, but we're not. Forgiveness is releasing any negative vibration between you and I, giving back whatever's yours you take, and separating. Forgiveness is a release of all vibration of judgment. Unconditional love is just the most amazing way to live. So when we forgive someone and we accept that they're different than us, it's very different than being able to be around someone who's hurt us. So let's say personality traits of some people are irritating. They're not our cup of tea, but are they just irritating, or are they a person that wants to hurt us? So when somebody's trying to hurt us, that's when we put up protections. That's when we put up our wall. That's when we say, no, thank you. I don't want to go there. But if someone's just irritating because they're different than us, I'm not saying you have to hang out with them, but accept that they're different, make sure there's all forgiveness there, and just move on, because we're all at different levels, and that's okay. There's no judgment. But we need to understand that we don't want to just walk around putting protections up all day. We want to be able to energetically feel our way around and say, that feels comfortable, that doesn't feel comfortable. And try not to judge the comfortableness or uncomfortableness, but be able to accept it. Oh, everybody's different, but that doesn't make them bad. Just because they're different doesn't make them bad. So protections are creating a boundary around us. And there's a lot of places now we need to do that. It's creating a boundary, but it's not shutting off people just because they're different. We learn from differences. Now, I'm a believer of, I hear all the time, you need to put your protections up. I'm not really one to say yes to that. What I believe is, if we're pulling the energy down, we're breathing the light in of the God energy, the universal light, we're breathing it in to our heart, and then we're visualizing pushing it out, pushing it out, pushing it out, pushing it out, all the way to our tips of our fingers. And we're walking around in this beautiful vibratory frequency egg, and we have this energy around us. That in itself is protection, because people that come toward our energetic space will have an uncomfortableness around us if we're not a matching energy. So that alone keeps people from coming into my space, because it's almost like, when you're looking across the top of a hot surface and you see all those energy waves, that's what we're surrounded in. When we breathe in the universal light into our heart, we believe in that God energy, and we take it, we push it out, and we make this boundary all around us with all that vibratory energy. And then somebody else comes near us, we'll feel them before they get into our space, our physical space, and they'll feel us. So if we're just being clear in our beautiful energy, we don't have to shut down or protect just because someone's different. We need to protect and support if somebody is there to hurt us. But we need to start being really clear with our vibratory energy. Like, what is it about this person that irritates me? Maybe it's a quirk. Maybe it's something that you used to do 20 years ago, or something you've always told your kids, don't be doing that. Like, you don't, like, whatever the reason be, we don't want to shut them off because they're different from us. We don't have to accept what they're doing, or maybe it's a quirk behavior. So protections are for creating boundaries around us. I only use protections when I know I'm going somewhere mainly leaving my home. When I'm going somewhere where I know that there's cabal or there's bad players or places where I know that maybe not the healthiest place to go, if I have to go do an errand, because on this island, there's a lot of unhealthy stuff. So I may put a boundary around me to protect me if I know I'm going to an area that may not be the safest or I'm uncomfortable in. But I don't walk around with these protections on all day, because that's not what we're doing. We're breathing in the energy and we're breathing out the energy, and we're visualize it going out. We have to do this, folks, because this is how we raise the whole vibration of the earth. We breathe it in and we put it out. We breathe it in and we stick it out into the universe. We are the ones raising consciousness. Well, if we're playing little and we're letting people hurt our feelings and shutting down, if we're walking around with all of our protections up and not experiencing the world, if we're saying, oh, she's quirky, I don't like her, we're shutting our vibration down. We're not assisting in the growth of consciousness. And we're here to do that. So find ways that can soothe you. Like the little girl in the picture, she's soothing herself and making sure she's calm and relaxed. She's, finding a way to stay balanced. And if somebody obviously is going to physically do anything to you, yes, we put our hands up and say, no, that's not going to happen. But in general, you need to be aware of your cognitive dissonance. You need to be aware of your prejudices. Maybe not, it's not necessarily something you're consciously thinking about, but you may still be doing. So be aware of your cognitive dissonance, that I'm uncomfortable in this situation, but be open to understanding, I don't know what I don't know. I don't know why I'm uncomfortable. Is it because of something I learned in childhood? Is it really my energetic field telling me be cautious? We need to respect that. But what Karl Popper said, and I strongly agree with, is true ignorance is not the absence of knowledge, but the refusal to acquire it. In this few seconds here with you, understanding frequency, it's imperative to know you are a creative being. You are amazing. And if you're breathing this energy down and you're breathing this energy out, you're creating this beautiful wave of energy all around you. That in itself is a protection, and that you are assisting with all the people around you. So you are the vibration of the average 5 or 6 people around you. So most of us are going to be the high vibration folks, and we have to accept that we are leaders in that vibratory energy. And as long as we're staying positive, we are an example and a light to so many people. But we have to do that by staying strong in that powerful light and not running around with an umbrella or protection over us. We're not shining our light when we're in constant protection. That is my opinion, and I stand by that. So the cognitive dissonance is the mental conflict that results in holding two conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. And people tend to seek consistency in their attitudes and perceptions. So the conflict that causes that feeling of uncomfortableness and discomfort, we don't have it. Right? So new information, sometimes learning new information can lead to feelings of cognitive dissonance. For example, if you engage in behavior that you later learn is harmful, it can lead to a feeling of discomfort. Some people deal with this either by finding a way to justify their behaviors or finding ways to discredit or ignore the new information, AKA woke, right? Because no, I was raised this way. I believe this way, whether it's through brainwashing or not, I believe this way. Therefore, if you have new information and you're making me uncomfortable, you are wrong. There's no growth in that. There's no value in staying stagnant in your life. Stagnant equals death. So yes, it's uncomfortable sometimes to go, oh my God, I was doing that and I believe that to be the truth and I believe that to be healthy. You know what? Yeah, that's a lot of us are going through that, but we go through forgiveness. We release what our mistakes were. We go through forgiveness. We release that and we let it go. And we say, that's a learning of how I know I was brainwashed and I wasn't living a good life. But now I'm raising my vibration. I'm bringing in the energy and I'm expanding the energy. I'm a part of the consciousness. So we got to forgive ourselves and go on. But a lot of people will not move because they're uncomfortable. They're uneasy and this discomfort. They'd rather stand there with a smile on their face and pretending that they don't know or are stand in that wrongness and not accept it because it's uncomfortable. And if you've ever looked at on the Holistic Patriot, they have an infographic that has 3D, 4D, and 5D. That 3D is very much the woke. They don't want to know anything new. Anything you tell them, you're wrong. They'll give you their opinion, but they don't want to hear yours. But you see the people that are going into 4D, it's beautiful because they're beginning to say, what if, what if I'm learning something? What if that's true? They're beginning to open up and they're beginning to ask questions. That 4D, when you're stepping into 4D and you're asking questions, I love that stage. I love that stage because that's where the curiosity, they're beginning to open up and awaken. And that's the people that we want to hold their hand and bring them forward. The ones coming out of this cognitive dissonance. And it's not easy for some people. And I get that, but it's a necessary piece of your growth. It's necessary for your ability to expand, to become the full spiritual soul that you are. You've got to get past this part. So yeah, enough about that. So being open to understanding you don't know what you don't know, and not judging, whether it's judging the person that's telling you, judging what you thought you knew, judging the people that trained you and what you thought you knew. Like, we got to not judge. We got to just go, oh, okay, that was a past thought, that I changed my thought now. We got to do it without judgment. And the reason we have to be really, really careful about this is 4 years ago, did you really know how many broken systems there were in the world? Did you have a clue? Did you know that the government, the politics, the food production, nutrition, the health systems, the medical systems, the pharmaceuticals, the education, the schooling, the entertainment, the sports, the mainstream media, journalism, religion, churches, water, air, fluoride in your water, chemtrails. Did you know about all these broken systems 5 years ago? Oh, most of us didn't. Those that did are a part of the brokenness. Those that knew it were a part of the puppets leading us around that knew it. They are part of the system. So if you didn't know that and you were raised in this vibratory information that was incorrect, there's no judgment. You didn't know what you didn't know. But now that you know it, you're fooling yourself not to stand up and say, I can't learn everything tomorrow, but every day I can learn a little thing and a little thing, do a little research, do a little more research, and I can get into understanding the bigness of this. There's no judgment, folks. We've all been there. We've all been hoodwinked, lied to. We've all gone through this. But now that you know, you're going to have to step up a little. Cognitive dissonance makes you want to shrink back. I get that, but you're not going to be able to serve your family, your community, your life. You're not going to be able to help your family if you don't step up and take at least one little piece of the puzzle, research it, and start expanding. We didn't know it. There's no judgment. So 5 years ago, did you know about the levels of blackmail, bribery, and brainwashing? Did you know the brainwashing that comes through the television, the movies, the music, the advertisements, the radios, the educational system? We've been going through this and we didn't know it. So rather than being harsh on ourselves, we need to be forgiving of ourselves that we were naive and didn't know. We need to accept that, yeah, this bad stuff's been going on, but it's going to be ending soon. And it's going to be ending because people like us breathe in and breathe out the true love and high vibration. And the more and more of us that do this, we're putting out a beacon of light. And that beacon of light, without us doing it purposefully, is shining the light in the dark. The dark cannot put out the light, but the light can put out the dark. And we're not doing it because we're fighting, because we're not fighting. We're not fighting anything. We're standing in such a bright light that the people who can fight in their battle go and fight. For me, and it's not a fight. It's not a fight. Because when we're bringing in the energy and we're in the flow, that flow of energy is what's producing change. So it's not a fight, but putting a light on it. So, I look at it as there's a lot of bad stuff out there and I want these people to go away. But I'm not the one that's going to be the judge of the jury, but I'm a really compassionate warrior. And I will gladly send them to the person who can take care of it, because that's their calling and that's their job. So we need to let go of the fact, yes, we've been hoodwinked, we've been lied to, and now our responsibility is just to make our light so bright and shine so brightly into the world. We are an assisting piece of, we are a connected piece of, we are all of one, a piece of changing the vibration of consciousness and raising the vibration. So you are in charge. And the awareness is out there. If there's anybody that still has their head so far down in the sand that they don't know what's going on, then they're probably suffocating themselves, because this is going to have to be like a purposeful event not to know what's going on. So knowledge is being uncovered. You get to choose your reality. So I'm really clear on, I don't walk around in happy, ignorant bliss, but I do walk around in high vibratory frequency. And I do purposely keep my frequency up. And I do purposely find things to look at and be grateful for and thankful for. Appreciation, gratitude, all those high vibration things they empower us. And when we're empowered, we feel this freedom, this sensuality, this excitement, this happiness, this joy. And when we stay in that vibratory energy, that's not saying we're not recognizing that things are wrong, but we're taking the fact, and on that, we remove the feeling. We still see the fact, so we know not to make the mistake again. But we take the feeling off of it, because we don't want to stand in that low vibrational feeling. So we keep the fact in front of us, and we keep our vibration up here. So we continue to be happy, passionate, enthusiastic. We stay up here in vibration, but we still see the fact in front of us of what's happened. We don't let the fact go away. We keep an eye on the fact. But then there are those people who just walk around in happy bliss and ignorance, and they don't pay attention to the fact, which means they're assisting and let it continue to happen. So let's recognize what's going on, remove any negative feelings off of it, and keep the fact in front of us so we can see it, and still continue to have a high vibration and frequency. This is imperative, because this is how we put the energy out into the world. So we get to choose our reality. We get to choose what happy, heart-shaped hopscotching that we're going to be doing, or dancing you're going to be doing. So I think it's important for you to learn. One of the best tools you can learn is the vibratory scale. And this isn't the Hicks vibratory scale, but there's the Hawkins, there are other ones. If you look on YouTube, if you look on Google, you'll find a bunch of examples. But you need to understand, if you're going down into overwhelmment or doubt, sadness, disappointment, your vibration's dropping. More negative influence will come to you if you're in the lower vibratory emotions, because that vibration you're putting out is low vibration. And guess what? The law of attraction will go, okay, let me give you some more. Because if you're putting it out and you're a magnet, it's going to be magnetized to you. So that's not saying every time something negative happens to me, I must be a negative person I brought into my life. No, there are energetic vibrations that are out there that are purposely looking. But in general, yeah, you need to watch your vibration. You need to think about the words coming out of your mouth. You need to think about how you're feeling right now. When a year ago, I was going through this stage of sadness and loneliness to the end. It was so bad. And it was a depression of sadness and loneliness. And I was just laying there. I was just wilting. I was dying. And then one day I woke up and I realized, what are you doing to yourself? And, I can blame somebody else, but the fact it was coming out of my mouth. I'm so sad. I'm so lonely. I'm so sad. I'm so lonely. Over and over again, my body went, okay, you're sad. You're lonely. And I started living it. I started being it. I started vibrating it. But when I realized I had brought myself down so low, I was like, wait a minute. I did this. I did this to myself. I'm not blaming anybody. I did this to myself. Therefore, I can heal myself. So I pulled this scale out and I played with this scale every day. I did the ABCs every day. I played with the scale every day. So let's say this is one of the tools everybody needs to understand, whether it's the Hicks vibrational or Hawkins, or there are other ones out there. You need to understand how to keep yourself in that top third of vibration. The beliefs, positive expectation, happiness, eagerness, enthusiasm, sensuality, passion. When we stay up there, bad stuff's in front of us. We see the factual bad stuff in front of us, but we don't own the emotion. We don't take on the emotion. We keep the fact there. When we can pull that off, we can be the most powerful, wonderful warrior, compassionate listener. and be in that high vibration, we stay healthy and strong. And then we're part of the change. We are the consciousness making the change. So when it comes to choices, try to always remember love over fear. If there's a fear coming at you, there's information there. Check the fear out. Is it even real? We teach a class called Love Over Fear, which gets into the detail of this, the nuance of this. But when you're choosing love over fear, that means you're staying in high vibration rather than going to a low vibration. It doesn't mean you're ignoring it. You are acknowledging, but you're acknowledging the factors, not the frequency or the energy or the emotion on it. So when you choose love over fear, you're taking care of your family, you're taking care of your acquaintances, your country, you're taking care of the world by expanding this beautiful energy. Now, this environmental one, this is the hardest one because we have no control over that. We had no control over it, but we're just going to go over it quickly. I grew up in Poplar. Oh, well, I didn't grow up in Poplar Bluff. I grew up in Missouri, but I had relatives in Poplar Bluff that actually lost their land to Monsanto over a lawsuit because the seeds went from one field into their field. And then, long story short, Monsanto tested and said they were stolen seeds, which they weren't. The wind blew them, but they're stolen seeds, and therefore they sued and took away the farm. This happens all over, not just the United States. It's happening everywhere. In Hawaii in 2014, when I was there, the Dole pineapple industry was there wrecking the land, sending dirty water out into the waters and into the oceans. The people there were getting sick. Many people lost their teeth. There was just a lot of health issues. And even though there was a public outcry, Dole pineapple wound up staying there and during a vote, which was heart-wrenching. So these organizations, the genetically modified things are everywhere. And they're calling it bioengineering. They probably have some other fancy words for it. But the fact is, they're going in there and they're taking the frequency of the healthy, and they're tainting it. They're putting chemicals in it. They're putting preservatives in it. They're putting graphene oxide in it. They're putting other things in it that ruins the actual validity and the frequency of the food. And then they're selling it to you because they can make it pretty. So these genetically modified, bioengineered tactics they're in the fertilizer. If you're allowed to have fertilizer, some countries can't even have fertilizer. So it's in the fertilizer. It's in the seeds. They've got all the way down to the seed. So you're growing a seed of a genetically modified fruit or vegetable. That's how deep this is. The soil is just messed up. The water, as we know, is tainted. One of my most favorite make me angry points is they put fluoride in our water to make our teeth strong. Oh yeah. By the way, it also blocks your pineal gland. So this stuff is so deep, so thick, so long, so awesomely big that we have to keep going through forgiveness of being hoodwinked because we had no control over this, but it's still going on today. So our water is tainted, our air is tainted. Everything's tainted, from the harvesting, the packaging. Think about the packaging, all the plastic they put it in with the FPVs, I think it's FPVs that go in that leach into the food. They package our food in this leaching plastic. Then shipping in these containers that God knows what's in there. And then the shelf storage. I was at a grocery store, a little grocery store here on my island, going the other day. Outside, there are two big grocery carts. One's filled with heads and heads and heads of cabbage, and the other is filled with green onion. So they're taking them out and they're picking one up, whipping it into a bag and spinning it and putting it down. You're outside, there are motor vehicles driving by, there's dirt there's dogs walking around, and that's the food you're putting into the plastic bag. It looks oh so beautiful now, and putting it into the store. And I was just so like, oh, this is why you wash everything. So harvesting, packaging, shipping, store life, it's all tainted, folks. And between the Monsanto land grabs and Gates, you can't be surprised at any of this anymore. So the environmental, yes, we have no control over that in general, unless you're a higher up working in an agency. And even then you got to question that, because all 3-letter agencies just about seem corrupt. There's just so much negativity there. But clothing even has fumes that come off of it, because a lot of our clothing is made of forms of plastic. So the spandex, acrylic, the rayon, there's so many things that you're wearing that are not good for your skin. So if if you can afford the organic cotton, flax, linen, hemp, linen, silk, the wool, those are more neutral, natural products, which most of us barely even see on the market anymore. Those are better for the environment. Those are better for your life. You're better for your skin and your breathing. But also, I didn't know how much fumes and paints, that there's toxic chemicals, there's formaldehyde. Formaldehyde, what do we use formaldehyde for? So these fumes are being put off from the furnitures we buy. So I remember when I opened my facility in Nashville, New Hampshire, I had these big Nikon filtration systems, and I ran those things 24 hours a day for probably over a week before we got the smell out of the carpet. Like, it was so intense. So those filtration systems were constantly cleaning the air, which was a brilliant move on my part to buy them. So for being able to clean your air is really important. And when your office is a lot, you have the bad lighting, the eyes, it's not good in most office lightings. You have toxic metals, paints, construction materials. Dudes, when you're out there doing this construction stuff, you're breathing in all these toxins. It's just so sad. So when you do your, when you go to purchase something, do your due diligence on purchasing it, especially if it's painted, it's got material, what's the stuffing made of? Because you might bring something toxic into your house and you're sitting on it watching a movie at night, not realizing that you're breathing in all this toxic air. And I truly believe that most of it was purposeful. It was invented to help lower our vibrations by affecting our health on a regular basis. My opinion. So ergonomics is also another thing. You got to be really careful about your environment, ergonomics, and make sure you're supporting yourself in the way your body is sitting in the chair and all that stuff. Because my goal, I don't know about everybody else, but my goal, I used to believe I was going to live to 104. Then I'm like, nah, I changed it to 140. And then recently I went, nah, I'm going to go at least 160. So if I'm going to be 160 years old, I got a long way to go. I'm going to make sure I'm doing ergonomics. I'm going to make sure I'm drinking my water. I'm going to make sure I'm taking care of all these things I can. And that includes what is going on in my environment. And don't get me wrong. I believe as soon as we make this switch over and we're into this next level, which is happening very slowly, there's a lot of cool technologies coming out that are going to help benefit a lot of us. So, but we still need to watch the environment, right? And here's the thing. You can't take on everything. All you can do is your best. We learned that from the 4 agreements. All you can do is your best. So if I were to start anywhere, I would go make sure I have a clean water, because your body's made of 90% water. That means you're bringing this water. You don't want tainted water. That's the first place I would start. Obviously, your breathing and breath is environmental. You can't really change the air. If you have an air filtration system, that's great. But that one is about breathing in and physically taking care of your body. But if I were to change anything related to coming out from the environment, I would definitely go for water first, because your body needs that. And when you have the water, you can also program the water for your highest good, also putting the emotions and the love and vibration into the water and then drinking it. And it can help keep your body clean. We know that there are things everywhere in the office, these fumes on our clothing and the air. So I was really surprised when I looked at this. I'm like, fluoride. They're still putting fluoride in toothpaste. My mind boggled by the fact that there was anybody who doesn't know that fluoride's bad for you, but it still happens. Tin poisoning. I didn't know that there's tin poisoning from a tin can. I didn't know about aluminum pans, aluminum making the brain worse with Alzheimer's and dementia, that being a part of the aluminum in your brain, bad for you. The food pesticides, the chemicals, we know about that one. Aluminum barapins. There's almost every spray can has some kind of bad news with it. The clothing types, the flame retardants on your furniture, bad for you, bad. Insects and pesticides. In the islands, a lot of us use a tree called neem, and we soak the neem and we put the liquids with it, and then we can spray, and it's a really great all natural repellent. But I'm sure wherever you live, there's some form of natural repellent also, if you do the research for it. There's ammonia, manganese, the exhaustion coming off of generators and cars, cigarettes, which if somebody's still smoking a cigarette, that's between you and the cigarette, but that one is just so overeducated. there's mercury in the fish. And I'm looking at it going, if the fish are way out in the ocean, how could they be bad for us? So I question how all of that happened. We have lead in almost everything. The BPAs, that leach from the plastics. Every time I even see a plastic now, I get like, I don't want to touch that. So these toxins are everywhere. We have no real control over those toxins. But we can cut down as much as we can on them. Okay. And we can breathe in, breathe out, drink the healthy water, stay with the rainbow food. You can do the breathing and just do our best. So let's go to our last one, which is sleep, rest, meditation. So why do we have to sleep? It's rest and relaxation that creates rejuvenation. So we want to rejuvenate our bodies, but rejuvenation lets us begin again. Okay, we take a task, we take a break, we feel better, we get back up, we work a little bit more. But sleep is where the body repairs itself. So that's a beautiful state to be in, repair state. So, and when we're in the state of sleep, messages come to us in the state of sleep or in rest and meditation. So getting quality rest and sleep reduces stress and chronic pain. It reduces negative effects of mental and physical health. So if you got a chronic pain thing going on, it's important for you to get some rest and to really try to focus on your deeper sleep. So rest is different than sleep. During rest, you can be present, you can be awake, you can do things that emerge like if something's going on, you can be aware of it in the moment. But this means that you can rest while you're reading and walking, taking a walk in the yard. That's called a rest. It's a place where you can rejuvenate because you're taking a break from the activities that are going on. So it's that rest in between the tasks. That's resting. So when you do the resting, it allows the body time to recover. Rest will help prevent injuries and improve overall performance. We know that if we're really feeling tired and stressed out, sitting and breathing for a minute, maybe taking a glass of water, going out and just kind of looking at a tree, or even just looking at the sunset, that will take, and you get into the moment of now, and you're in this moment of now. And if you stay there for 60 seconds, just stay in this moment of now, your whole reality goes, all the stuff that was on the outside calms down and everything gets smoother and easier because you're no longer in the vibration of the intensity you had before the break started. So we need those breaks, and it helps reduce possibility of injury. So it also, when you're taking these breaks, it adds in muscle repair, reduces your inflammation, and supports your immune system, which is a beautiful piece of artwork going on in there, keeping everything moving around smoothly. Rest also, it helps manage your stress levels and the blood pressure. And of course, it contributes to a healthy heart. But the reason we have this stress is just naturally our body sending out these messages. But when we get caught up in a moment of this factual thing that's going on and there's feelings on it, a lot of times we'll take those feelings and we'll own the feelings. So when you're taking a moment of rest and you're taking everything off and you're putting it aside, your stress level goes down because you're not in that same state of energy, the same state of vibration. But if you're sleeping, sleeping, I love when I can actually lay down, rest, and sleep. It's awesome. Sleep is different because it's immersive, it's complex, it's a process. And when you're in this state of sleep, in this state of deep rest, every tissue and every organ in your body can begin to repair itself. It's a state of repair. You have to be in this deeper level for the repair. The other one's rejuvenation. Yes, you can feel better, but this one's about helping your body repair itself. It's got to be at a total state of rest. So the more you use your brain, also, I'm a multitasker like many other people. When you use your brain a lot and you're multitasking, you're going to need more sleep. And during the sleep, the cells of the body are producing their special proteins that they need. And these proteins are going around the body and building back up. They're the building blocks and they're creating new cells. And so when you're in this beautiful state of rest, your body's not competing for anything else. It's laying down, all the organs are just doing their basic jobs, everything's relaxed. That's when your body can go over and start building and healing and repairing parts of your body that have been damaged. That's why when you're not feeling well, you got a cold or you had an accident, the best thing you can do is just allow yourself into some really deep sleep. And Think about these people that are in a really bad state. Something really traumatic has happened to them and they go into a coma. In the state of coma, there's no outside influencing going on. Yes, there's an awareness with your spirit, but the physical body, there's no outside influence at this point. And that's when the body can go on hormones or steroids and go in there and actually do immense healing in a short amount of time. So sometimes when a body goes into a coma, it's because it needs to be in the coma. It needs to be completely out of the reality check for the human, because the human's stress levels and everything like that are going to affect the healing. And that, of course, that's not for every case, but that's for a lot of cases, the body's healing itself. So then we have a good night's sleep can help the body make the needed repairs to recover any damages it's going through on a daily basis, taking care of all those toxins from the environment and all that. And there are many things that can affect the quality of sleep, from stress, diet, especially if you've been eating something spicy before you go to bed, it can affect your sleep. But the average person needs 6 to 8 hours of sleep just to feel that adequacy of the rest. And it's so, we got to have sense of humor with everything, right? So if you're during your sleep, your soul may leave. I'm not an advocate of astral travel. I know others are. I prefer to stay here on the earth in my space where I'm pushing the energy out. This is where I stay. But if your soul may leave for a while to go visit other souls while you're sleeping, maybe receiving messages, or maybe your soul is out playing a round of golf, just having an outside day. But the sleep is imperative for the complete deep healing. And so different people at different age ranges, of course, when you're younger, you need more. 3 to 5 years old is 10 to 13 hours for every 24 hours plus naps. And I'm like, I'm sold. The whole napping thing, I love that napping thing. So the 12 to 6-year-olds, they need more sleep. And as you get older, you need less and less sleep. So the average human is said to need between 6 and 8. Some of us need a little more. If you're under stress, you might need a little more. But remember, resting can also assist in part of the rejuvenation. But for the deep level healing, that's where you need that sleep. So as we come ready to the end, everything is made of energy. Energy has specific frequencies, millions and millions of frequencies, and everything vibrates at the frequency. So if your body is aching, it's putting out a low frequency. That means we want to repair that frequency. So if you're saying, so this is about a repetitive thing, right? So if your body is aching, you go, oh, I'm really aching. I'm really aching. And every time you say it, your ears hear it. Your ears hear it. Your ears hear it. I'm aching. I don't feel that good. I don't feel that good. So if you're just saying it as a statement, it's one thing, like, I'm not really feeling that good. I think I'm going to go lay down. That's one thing. But if you're saying it over and again, I think I'm getting a cold. I think I'm getting sick. I don't feel good. If you're saying it over and over again, you are actually submitting to your body, I am not feeling well. I am not feeling well. And the energy starts to drop down in your body. And then you do make it available for yourself not to feel well. So if you say to a friend, my body is aching, my body is aching, every time you're doing this, you're lowering the vibration of that frequency, and it's getting less and less movement on it. So you're spreading that vibration yourself throughout your body. So just being aware of that. So, once you catch yourself saying, oh, I don't feel good, then you can really begin to raise it back up again, because purposeful thought, right? So you change your words. I am feeling better as the day goes on. I love being healthy. My life is awesome. I love my life that I'm creating. So we change our words, we change the words, and then we visualize this healthy life. And then we remember other times, like, yeah, I had a cold before. You know what? I'm on this immune thing, this hydroxychloroquine. I can heal myself in no time at all. I'm just back. I'm running. I'm successful. I'm fun. I'm happy. I'm gay. I'm smiling. So you get to choose your reality by focusing on it with your words and your visualization. And along with the ABCs, I just reminding people, like, it's really important to say, I am an imperfect being. It's okay. But I am empathetic, or I'm empathic. I am loved. I am special. I am divine. Find words that you own, that you can sprinkle throughout your day. I have messages all over my house. When people come to my house, they know who I am because of the messages I have all over the walls. So the I am in you, who is the I am in you? I am a warm, abundant, loving, spiritual warrior soul. I am these vibrations. I am this highness. So that's the one you should be repeating all day long. And if you catch yourself saying, I don't really feel that good, it's okay. It's an acknowledgement that your vibration is low. But once you acknowledge your vibration's low, then you have the responsibility to do something about it. Because you just keep repeating it, you're just validating it, and you're continuing to lower your vibration. So we are energetic fields of vibration and frequency, and it's flowing in and it's flowing out, and it's all around our bodies. There's no misunderstanding. If you're still in this class after I've been talking this long, then you get this. So we're here in a spiritual war. This is an energy war. So we need to prepare our mind, prepare our body, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and don't fool yourself. Knowing your weaknesses is powerful. It's very powerful. Be intimate with your intuition, being able to dance with your intuition, own it, love it. Learn to do unconditional loving, just loving unconditionally to everybody. Learn how to forgive. This is a huge piece of not holding on. Learn how to forgive, let go of judgments of others. Learn what boundaries are. If boundaries are important, I'll let you do this, but I won't do that. Like, you need to know where you stand. So that way, when you're pushed, you'll know, no, I don't do that. Where appropriate, use protections, but my preference is breathing in the light and pushing the vibration out and putting myself in this beautiful vibratory ball. And that protects me also. Be open to what you don't know. Be able to admit, I don't know what I don't know, and be able to do research. Stay connected to other like-minded people. And that's brilliant, because that keeps us that vibration going as we're talking, not in defense, but really like common language. Stay focused in love and understanding the facts about facts versus fears, and understanding you can take the emotion off that. Then release the fears. So it's a two-step process. We'll talk more about that in the future. Learn new things every day. Keep that brain going. Keep that brain challenged. Rest when it's time to rest, and be ready to defend when evil presents itself. Be ready to, okay, if somebody comes to me and says X, this is how I'm going to answer it. Not to get emotional, but to be prepared. So folks, we win. It's all frequency, vibration, it's energy. And love over fear. Love will be over fear. So keep your love strong. This is a winning frequency. This is true spirituality. So in the basics of this class on spirituality, you've learned these are basics for a healthy body, but spirituality is taking responsibility for all of it. So we've talked about your breath, water, nutrition, movement, attitude, adaptability, environment, sleep, rest, your energetic rest. And so I thank you for being a part of this presentation. And I want to remind you that all the teachings that I provide are on energy psychology, energy medicine, metaphysics, and the science of spirituality. And as I always say, this is your life. It's your life. It's your energy. And you are not a victim. You get to choose. You get to choose how you're going to live this every day. And if you choose not to be in your bigness, then you need to own that. But if you're ready to be a compassionate listener, you're ready to be a compassionate warrior and take full responsibility, we're here. There's a lot of us. We want to share. So please don't be shy about sharing this program. If you know other people that want to participate in these topics and know the basics of life in general, or if they want to be a compassionate warrior, please don't be shy about taking the time to reach out, because I'm very excited at sharing this information and continuing on this journey together with you. Namaste, my friends. This is Dr. Barb Trunlet, Soul Solutions, where we're finding your passion, we're expanding your consciousness, and we're advancing your enlightenment. So, woohoo! Have a great day. Love you all. Thank you. Namaste.